You know me as the host of the Heavy Duty Parts Report, but did you also know that I am a co-host on a radio show on TNC Radio called Mind Your Trucking Business? Each week we talk on this radio show about how to help people in the trucking industry make their fleets more professional and operate more efficiently. In one of the recent radio shows that we did, there was a clip that I thought was particularly applicable to the listeners of the Heavy Duty Parts Report, and so I wanted to share that with you. That'll be the basis for today's episode. I hope you enjoy it. Hey, you're listening to TNC Radio Live, and this is Mind Your Trucking Business. My name is Jamie Irvin, and I'm with my esteemed co-host, Tom Kelly and James Rogers. In our first segment, we were talking about cybersecurity, how it relates to autonomous vehicles, how it relates to your truck right now, and what you need to know. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about personal security for the next couple segments. But to just illustrate how vulnerable we as individuals can be to cybersecurity threats, we put our co-host on the hot seat. So James Rogers, we found out a bunch of information about you without you even realizing it. All we did was we took your email address and we found some very, very detailed information about you. Are you ready to find out just what kind of information we were able to find?
I don't know. That sounds like a loaded question. I mean, we got the little beep button over the easy button. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah. Well, we promised not to reveal any personal details, but for the point of illustration, Tom, can you just show us what kind of information was accessible simply by knowing what James's email address was?
Yeah, this started last week, James, because you had to drive and Jamie and I were here without you, and so we picked on you since you.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, punishment.
Well, that's what you get for not showing up, James.
Right.
So Jamie challenged me to because I was saying all of our stuff's already. People, I'm not going to fill out that form. I don't want people knowing my personal stuff. They already got it, guys. They already got it. They've already got it. And so, to prove my point, Jamie challenged me. And so here are the rules of the challenge. I only had your email address, James, and I know your name.
Right.
And I had 1 hour.
Oh, wow.
That was my constriction. Okay.
Now I'm really afraid.
Yeah. Out of that, there's all sorts of things I could tell you. I could tell everybody about where you live. You live in a nice house there in the middle of Missouri, not far from the Mississippi River. Matter of fact, I'm looking at a very nice picture of your home right now, which you purchased in October of 2015, paying roughly $82 a square foot. You worked out a pretty good deal because the owner before wanted a lot more than that, but you kept working them down where they dropped the price a couple of times. And then when you got in there to negotiate, you got them to come down on the price a bit more. So you worked a good deal with the previous owner. So you got a good deal in the house. It's worth about twice as much now as when you paid.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
So James, I got to know, man, just to sit on this hot seat and have somebody know that much information already. This is just a few minutes of searching. How does that make you feel?
I feel violated. I feel violated. I feel like I have no protection. I mean, I'm a disabled vet, and we took personal security highly. And I thought the keyword thought, I thought I brought that out in the civilian world when I retired. And I feel violent. I want to go take a shower.
I think you are the principal owner of Spartan Direct LLC.
Yes, sir.
Which you officially formed on June the 14th, 2017, which, by the way, happy anniversary from last week. And happy anniversary, too, to you and your lovely wife.
Yeah. Really? Come on. You can see that, too?
Yeah. So I see that you guys just celebrated your anniversary. So congratulations for that. Thank you. I could give you your corporation number, but I won't do that.
No.
On air, but basically I can give you what is your corporation's social security ID number.
Holy cow.
EIN. So all of that information, again, I stayed within the hour. I learned a lot about your wife. I know all sorts of things about and struggles that she had growing up.
Oh, wow.
I know about where you grew up there in New York.
Really?
Yeah. Is it Castley? How do you say that name?
Yep. Castile. Yep. You can see, man.
So, yeah. And Castile, what a nice little, a quaint town, they say. It's very nice. And Mom still lives up there, huh?
He does. Really? You know what? I need to enter the witness protection program. That's what I need to be re-educated on what I need to do, because it does. I'm sitting right here and it's like you had an hour and you know just that amount. I mean, just the fact that you know my business EIN that easy is concerning.
It is. And so I don't say all of this to frustrate you or to frustrate people, but to kind of awake everybody up. One of the things that, and this is an important takeaway in all of this, very seldom are computers actually hacked. People say, oh, I was working on my computer, somebody hacked in on it. It's actually people who are hacked.
Yeah.
Okay. It is going out and getting this information and then using it against you. Okay. My son has never been to Canada in his life, but his step grandmother got a call one day, and the person knew enough about her and enough about my son to tell her he had been arrested and was in Canada and needed $10,000 for bail money. And it was only the very alert person at the bank who said, something's not right. This woman has never walked in and asked for $10,000 cash before. I'm not trusting this. This is an issue. We need to stop this and talk to her about what's really going on.
How does that? Okay, you used the key phrase there was people are hacked. So how are people hacked?
Because think of all this knowledge that I have about you now.
Right.
Okay. And if you and I were strangers and I was to call you up and start describing myself as an attorney or as a business colleague of somebody else or a friend of the family or what, and get you to a position of, and the whole idea of these guys is you've got money in your pocket that I want to get in my pocket. Right.
Right.
So with all this information that I have, there's, and I would come in, of course, with, the people who do this are very, very skilled. Okay. And that's where they hack you. Okay. Because they know just what to say. They've got your hot buttons, and they're masters of psychology, and they really know how to work somebody to make it so that you will gladly hand them money.
See, that's
you'll never see again.
Yeah. That's even more concerning and makes me feel even more open because, I don't do it because obviously I run my company and I'm home, quite often, but speaking from a driver's perspective, if you're out on the road and you receive them phone calls, sometimes you might continue the conversation just because you're having somebody to talk to and not even really realize what this skilled individual is doing to you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the thing that I'm thinking about too is that, as human beings, we're very social, and we are wired to be part of a group. And so if somebody uses the right psychological levers to establish some rapport with us and some trust, all of a sudden our defenses just drop to zero. And that's when we're truly at risk. So one thing I'm hearing in all of this, in some ways, James, I'm almost glad that Tom is telling us that it's less likely our computer is going to be hacked and more likely the person. And the reason why is because with education, we can actually defend against this. And that's why this conversation today is so important.
Well, you're absolutely correct. And then another question I would have is it's a term that I heard in the military a lot. So, they have this conversation, they get it. And what about, where do phishing attacks come in this? Because I'm sure that at some point somebody's going to say, well, let me send you an email. or send you a text message.
And phishing is a part of all this, and phishing that's spelled with a PH, not an F. Phishing is a part of this overall grand scheme. Okay, and I'm not trying to make people paranoid, but I'm also not underselling it. It's a grand scheme.
Ooh.
There are a lot of people who are out there who their whole purpose in life is to figure out who's making an honest living and get them to give you their money. Okay, they want your money, and they're going to figure out ways to get it. And it will be things like you probably today, somebody listening today got a text message that said something about your bill is ready to be approved from someplace you don't even recognize.
Just so everybody knows, I'm broke.
and those, that's part of what they do. So you click on this little thing. I'm not going to approve them. And what is this? And you click on it. They got you. They got you.
Just that easy.
That's all they needed.
Okay, so we've established that this is legitimate. We should be worried about it, but that there is a way to defend against these strategies, and that is through education. So when we come back in our next segment, we're going to give you the top 5 ways you can protect yourself personally. And James, I hope you're going to take notes, because man, it looks like you need a little bit of help in this, just like the rest of us do.
Have my notebook and pen ready.
All right. So you are listening to Mind Your Trucking Business on tncradio.live. We will be right back. Don't have a heavy-duty part number and need to look up a part? Go to parts.diesellaptops.com or download the app on Apple or Android to create your free account. Looking for high-quality fuel injection for heavy-duty applications? Having one supplier for fuel injection allows you to better serve customers by providing them with a complete line, which increases your sales and profitability. Learn more at ambackinternational.com/aftermarket. Welcome back to Mind Your Trucking Business on tncradio.live. I'm one of your hosts, Jamie Irvin, and I'm with Tom Kelly and James Rogers. In our second segment, we kind of put you on the hot seat, James, and we showed people just how vulnerable we all are with our personal information. Have you recovered, my friend?
I hope. I do. I feel weak. I feel wide open right now. So I'm hoping that Tom can educate me on what I need to do to rectify this so he can't find me again.
That's right.
Alarming.
That's right. Okay. So what we're going to do in this segment is we're going to provide you with the top 5 ways you can provide or you can improve your own personal security. And that through this education that you're going to get in this segment, it's going to help you to defend against these kinds of attacks on our personal security. So, Tom, what is the number one thing we need to know? What is the number one tactic we can employ to protect our personal information?
Well, the number one thing is passwords are the key. Okay. Making sure, and look, we all do it. Okay, we're all bad about you've got a password and maybe you have 1, 2 exclamation point that follows it, and then on another system it's 3, 4 exclamation point, and on this one over here it's you capitalize the third letter but not on this, and you've got your own little system. Their systems are so much better. They know all your system. You're not going to come up with a magic way to have the same password pretty much everywhere, it with just a slight variation, and not have them figure it out.
James, let me ask you something. When you were in the military, I assume that security is very important. And did they provide you with like specific instructions on how, as someone in the military, you had to conduct yourself to help with security?
Well, absolutely. One of the biggest things obviously was, it went everywhere from, depending on location or wherever, what we could wear and all this stuff, all the way down to using the computers and everything to, passwords had to be a certain way, whether it was, it could be between 8 and 16 characters, but it's got to have this number of, numbers, letters, special punctuation, and so on. And it was in the military, it was easy because there was a constant reminder of it. Right. And then, like I said in the previous segment, is a lot of that I thought I brought with me, but I guess I'm sitting here and I'm sitting here thinking about it. And I'm like, you know what? I really forgot doing it. And the reason I think that is because it's not in my face in my everyday life, hey, you need to update this. Hey, you need to change this. It's been 60 days. You might want to go back and change it. Or how about not use the same password for everything you use because you can't remember it,
Right. What's the joke, right? What's your password? Okay, just hang on. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, exactly right. It does. And I'm sitting here kind of laughing at the same time because as we're talking about it, it reminds me like that scene from the movie I think it was Hangover 2 when the guy was like, well, what's your password? Oh, it used to be baloney, but they, made me add a 1. Yeah. And it's, you know what I'm saying? So now it's baloney 1. And now I'm sitting here, I'm like, he got all that from my email, but yet I sit here and I'm listening to him and I'm like, oh my God, I do the other things too.
Yeah. So passwords need to not be repetitive. They need to have multiple characters. They need to have upper and lower case, and they also need to be random to a certain degree, and they need to be regularly updated and changed. Tom, what's the second thing we can do to defend against cybersecurity attacks on us as individuals?
Well, just one more thing on the password stuff is whenever you can, do use a random password generator, okay? And then use your system, whatever system you like to use. I can't describe them all between iPhones and Macs and PCs and Androids and all that, but all have ways of storing password information that only you can get to. Do that, but always do use those random generated passwords. Those are so helpful.
Right. And in addition to that, two-party or two-factor authentication is also a great way to go along with the password, right? Because then, they might be able to hack your password, but they don't have maybe access to your physical phone. So if you've got that second step built into your security with passwords, that's going to give you that added security.
And I know it's a hassle. And I know people, I don't want to have to put in this number every time I get in here. It's so much less of a hassle than trying to clean up.
Yeah. Now, how can we, as drivers, though, speaking of an industry specific, how can we better protect ourselves with as many, like iPhones, Android, the tablets, everything that we have in our trucks? I'm going to assume that we're just as vulnerable going down the road, or if we're sitting in, these complexes that have all these wireless signals floating around may connect to it or something. It's kind of this, I feel exposed. And now I'm going to just start asking all sorts of questions.
Okay, James, well, don't rush ahead because we're going to cover that. So Tom, let's get to number 2.
Number 2, as much as you possibly can, encrypt your email. And especially with your business partners. This would be your customers, your suppliers, your employees, anything that you're talking that you don't want that information to be publicly available to others. Use the highest encryption that you're able to use and tell them, your customers, your employees, that I am using highly encrypted email. If you have a problem, let me know. And ask them to do the same with you. Okay. And again, I can't describe how every single email works, because this guy uses Yahoo and that one uses Gmail and this one uses Outlook, and they're all slightly different, but they all have a way to make the email. Do you want to encrypt your email?
So just so everyone understands, we're not asking you to go out and get encryption software. What we're saying is inside of your email client, there in the options, you're going to be able to go to privacy and security or security settings, and you're going to be able to select a certain level of encryption. And, like to Tom's point, depending on what email client you use, it's going to look a little different, but there is a way to do it inside of the email service that you're already using.
Correct. And so here's an interesting point on that too, while we're talking about encryption, People ask the question, can God make a rock so big he can't pick it up? Okay, or so heavy that he can't pick it up. There is a rule, a law within the U.S. government that you cannot write encryption software that is so good that the government can't hack it. Think about that for a minute. There is a law that says, and I understand encryption software and how to put it together. I can't make it so good that the government can't get in it.
It means you're just completely vulnerable anyway.
That's a little scary, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
But, just one of those things that's out there. So always do that. Now, you were asking a great question, and I want to, again, not trying to freak everybody out, just a simple rule to keep everybody safer. Take your personal products, whether it's an iPhone, Android, tablet, whatever, reboot them every day, because it is through those types of devices that that unsavory people can get access and be able to do different things. But one of the things that they need for a lot of what they do is continued access.
So is that number 3, Tom? Restarting your device? That's our third point?
That's third point, number 3.
Number 3, okay.
Reboot your devices every day. Not so you don't have to worry so much about your home PC and that kind of stuff. But if you are a driver, you're moving from spot to spot, truck stop to drug stop, hotels, all that kind of stuff. Spoofing your phone into making it think that it's connected to McDonald's or Holiday Inn or Marriott or Love's, and in fact, you're actually now working through the network that somebody else is controlling, is a very common method for people to get information off your phones. You hear all the time about a star or starlet who has her pictures show up all of a sudden on the internet. That's what they're doing. They're just hacking into her phone that way by making that phone think it's connected to something that it's not connected to. And then it's wide open. They're able to get in there and do whatever they want.
All right, Trucker Nation, you are warned, and it is very important right now that you schedule a time to restart your device starting today and make that a new daily habit. Now, Tom, what is the 4th way that we can protect our personal information and defend against people who really pose a cybersecurity risk to us as individuals?
It's so easy. And if everybody did it, it really would knock down how much people are able to hack into computers and so forth. Keep everything up to date. People don't. They see it pop up on their computer. You have updates available. If you restart, oh man, I'm not going to restart right now. I don't have time to. Or your phone says something about, they have an update available. And, well, maybe it might mess something up. I don't want to mess with that right now. Last time I did it, I think it ran slower. You come up with these reasons. I don't want to take the time right now to have that download. I'm expecting a call. These are critically important things because most of the updates are security updates because they have identified a vulnerability that exists in either the computer or the cell phone or the tablet that you're using. So when they say, do this update, do it. Also know, as a part of this too, when your phone gets to the age that they no longer send out updates, you are highly susceptible for somebody cracking in, getting into your cell phone.
Got to get rid of that flip phone.
that Crackberry you thought was going to last forever. The older the device, the more there is information out there on the dark web about how to get into it.
Well, it's funny that you brought up man, BlackBerry. That just hurts. I'm Canadian, and that just hurts my heart every time I hear the name. Because at one time, BlackBerry was the business phone because of how secure it was. I mean, it was the leader, and it's just so sad that that company did not continue to innovate and wasn't able to keep up with the likes of the Android and Apple devices. But the point is that now it's a different brand of phone that is more secure because these are the newest and most up-to-date devices. So, James, I mean, I don't want to have to make you go buy a new phone, but you might need to go get a new device.
I mean, I'm starting to wonder. I've got I think it's an iPhone 12 or maybe it's an 11. I thought it was pretty up to date, but I'm sitting here thinking, actually, I have a whole list. Okay, we need to check our devices. I need to go back through and check all our passwords. I mean, because the thing is he didn't just mention about me. He was able to get connected to my wife, to my mother. Who else in my family did he see within that hour that, we just didn't have time to talk about? So it's like, I really need to start digging into this.
Well, and you bring up a good point, James, because if you're a driver and you're on the road a lot, someone might hack you, but then the people who could be hurt is your family or your children. And I mean, that's scary, right? Because if they can figure out where you live, they can figure out where your kids go to school.
Exactly.
Oh, I know exactly where his kids go to school.
Yeah.
See, and that's the scary part. Because the other thing is obviously if we're out on the road and we'll just say if they did get in through our devices, like you said, because I'm bad about it, I don't reset my devices. I do now.
That's right.
Yeah, but if I'm going down the road and all of a sudden they pull up, oh, this guy lives in Missouri, but we snagged him over here in this industrial park in Jersey. We can nail his family because his family's obviously vulnerable to us, electronically, but physically he's not there.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so what's our fifth way that we can protect ourselves from being hacked?
Have a plan. Okay, a security plan top to bottom, including what you're going to do if you do feel like you've been hacked. Okay, so let's start at the beginning of this. James, as everybody learned last week, and as they're getting to know you, you have several drivers that you work with, correct?
Correct.
It is on you as the business owner to make sure that they are following proper security procedures.
Yes.
And I know it sounds like, oh, I don't want to be a nag, and you've got to be a nag. You got to push the people. It's got to start with you as the business owner to make sure that everybody else around you. We talk a lot about safety, but we don't always talk about security. So have that security plan and have the plan. Excuse me.
Now you just gave me something else to worry about on top of that, because you're right. Because even like with the larger carriers, and then even me as a smaller carrier, we do share apps that access into our back office.
Yeah.
And with that being said, they can get in and see everything.
So
all financials, all sorts of stuff.
So if they can, but they're not secured, that leaves you vulnerable via them.
Exactly.
So have that plan, and have the plan for what's going to happen if you do get hacked. Make sure you've got proper backups and backups on top of your backups, so that if something does happen, you can restore business quickly. Because the last thing you can afford to do is for me to tell you, I'm sorry, James, you've been hacked in such a way that you're not going to be able to drive for the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
You can't have something like that. That's just not.
I feel a new policy coming into place.
So if you're listening live right now on tncradio.live, you may say to yourself, well, I want access to this information. Where am I going to get it when I get back to my home office? Fortunately, you can go over to our podcast section and click on Mind Your Trucking Business, which will give you this episode on demand. And you can make this part of your security plan. Step one, get all your drivers to listen to this episode on demand on the podcast, and be able to take all of this information and put it into their own personal lives, but also then you can incorporate all of this information into your security plan for your trucking business. Thank you for watching this video. Click here to subscribe to the Heavy Duty Parts Report YouTube channel, and click here to watch another great episode.